over and over again, like several times, that our raises that we were presenting were not keeping track with premium increases. And so we have heard that, and we have created an offer that keeps pace with premium increases. There's not a person that would see less in recurring money in their paycheck than what their premium would go up, and I'll show you that. I'm gonna have, after I pass this out, I'm gonna have Rebecca explain what's on here. I do wanna preface this by saying, Kyle, we did create your model with the flat adjustment and putting everything into pay. We do not believe, we're not convinced that it meets the statutory legalities of it or in Georgia. And then we have to look, because we're just not convinced that it meets the...
Yeah, but I went with your model already.
Say it again.
I'm confused because I thought we already just accepted your... Are you saying the last model we just put through, there was an issue with it?
No, we're gonna show it to you. I'm gonna let Rebecca explain it.
And wait, for clarity, you're talking about the salary?
Yes. Well, I'll let Rebecca explain.
Do you have it? It might just be easier for us to see what she
I'm
explains.
giving up to...
Oh, okay.
I have the sheets. I
Thank
was
you.
just saying, we've heard you over the last 2 days say that, raises are not keeping pace with premium increases, and we have a proposal here, in the light of negotiations that
We're gonna go.
keeps track, keeps pace.
You got the whole week off or not? Oh yeah, I don't do that.
There's 2 copies. Not 2 copies, there's 2 pages.
Gotcha. Thank you. Oh, you used fancy paper.
I did what was in the copy machine.
Try not to use this against you, you use it to fancy paper.
I used what was in the copy machine. Why is this
Raise money
fancy? I don't
right there.
understand. Is
Oh,
there
you
something with
could
it?
you could just tell by grabbing it. It's fancy.
It all feels all the same. It all feels the same to me.
I
Fancy, I'm
think
telling you.
you're resorting to gaslighting, okay?
Okay. Rebecca, which side are we looking at first?
The side that is landscape.
On the salary offer, this one? Okay, all right.
So what we've changed in the modeling is from something I heard you say, Kyle. You want the performance or the tiered or flat, whatever adjustments, to be applied before we get them to the minimum base. Is that
I think that's more cost efficient. I haven't looked at your model yet, so that was the thought.
right? So that's really the only change here. We can see where we have kind of the same format, only a performance adjustment. We include the flat adjustment because that seems to be what you're figuring, and then our tiered adjustment approach. Using the flat adjustment, the performance and flat adjustment increases offset any cost to raise the minimum base. But what that does mean is that teachers that are closer to the minimum base to start with, they're not realizing the full adjustments. So that's the only implication here.
So it's the flat adjustment is the one, Dr. Green, that you think may not meet with approval from the state? Is that what you're saying?
No, we're just, you can see it more dramatically in the tiered adjustment. So the 3-year example employee who is rated highly effective, they end up making the new minimum base salary versus before they would make the minimum base salary plus their performance adjustment. That's the only difference when modeling it the way you suggested.
Which one is that?
C7
Yes. the middle one has the flat tiers. We're not convinced one way or the other that we know that that meets the intent because we're putting the money into
Raising the minimum.
raising the minimum and not the performance.
So, let me just ask a question because I'm not quite sure what you're saying. And I'm not saying we agree to anything, but you're telling us if we agreed right now to this, you're not quite sure you could even do it?
Well, first of all, we've got three things here, different ways. We have performance adjustment only,
Okay,
we have a flat adjustment, and we have a tiered adjustment, right? So there's three different things here as options.
okay, but which one are we allowed to do?
Rebecca, can you explain why we're not 100% sure that the flat adjustment meets the intent of the statute?
Right, so statute does not indicate the order in which increases are to be applied. But my only concern is that an employee rated highly effective is not above the minimum base salary by the highly effective increase amount. That's my only concern.
By the 125%,
No, I think, I'm gonna try to rephrase it just so I understand it. Your concern is that, let's say the minimum base salary goes to 48,000. That's not any of these models, but let's say it goes to 48,000. And the raise for the performance was $500. Some people will not be at 48,500 because of the other way we applied it, where if we applied it the other way, you would get to the minimum base salary plus the $500.
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
concern. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just don't know why it's a concern. Like, that's where I guess we'll struggle. It's like, we don't know what in the state statute says you couldn't do that. You know, when we talk about intent, like, I don't think we get to determine the intent of the legislature. The statute is the statute.
so Kyle, more specifically, and just for clarity, so I think what I hear you saying is we would reach the minimum base salary required by the state, which would give us more flexibility.
Yeah, in any model, we need that. I guess the determination is, do we need to do it first and then spend the money, or do we do it second after we spent all the money? But in the end, it just goes in a simple report that goes to DOE, from my understanding.
So let's go to the back side real quickly. So if you look at any of the total fiscal year recurring dollars, whether it's with the performance adjustment only, whether it's with the flat adjustment examples, or whether it's with the tiered adjustment examples, when we talk about the insurance proposal, they're all more than the rate increases to the insurance proposal. So Antonia's gonna talk about the insurance proposal, and I just want to say, we have increased the district's contribution by 1.1 million while decreasing the employee contribution by 1.1 million.
Dr. Green, can I ask you one question before we move on to the health insurance? Because you guys love doing this, keeping track of like all these additional recurring dollars you've given us. Where's that $7 million increase to health insurance board premium rate at for our bargaining unit?
I don't understand the question.
On the bottom of the offer that you just passed over, it says
Right here.
BPS, oh,
It's right
but
here,
this is for all 7,000 employees.
you're right.
So why are you charging the 7 million to us and trying to say, hey, we brought you 11 million now? Call it for what it
Noted.
is.
Noted.
You're the one that said yesterday that of the 13 million, you guys don't get 70% or whatever the thing is. So, I mean, if we're gonna use that as our offers, we should probably be pretty accurate on it.
So again, I'm gonna let Antonia explain this, and $1.1 million, we've increased the district's contribution, and $1.1 million would decrease the employee contribution with this proposal.
Okay.
What, oh, sorry.
And what was your total increase to the salary offer? Just on the recurring salary.
The total increase was. Rebecca, do you have that from yesterday? Because apparently I didn't grab that file.
I'm reading this 2.9 up to 3.56.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds. Okay, Antonia.
All right. Alrighty, if everyone has the sheet, and you probably have yesterday's and today's, so you can do the comparison on the annual, impact to the employee. On yesterday, we saw, we're looking at gold employee only, it's $314. On the proposal for today, it's $199.10 over a 12-month period. And please note, this is on a pre-tax dollar basis, so there is some cost savings for pre-tax for healthcare, okay, as well. If you would look at the projected rates, the columns remain the same, and the dollar amount, bottom line, and what changed.
Okay, have you passed out something?
No, I did.
It came with the other sheet.
It came with the other
Okay.
sheet.
All right, I thought that was the old one. Okay. I'm sorry.
No
I
problem.
was looking at the right thing, I thought, okay. I apologize.
No problem. As you see, the projections for '23 with the total rates, you see your differences where they are applying across the column, and the increases as it relates to the employee and the employer. And then the bottom line, whereas yesterday it's 3.1, today the bottom line for employee is 2.0. And then yesterday's bottom line was 5.9 for the employer, and I think I said that backwards. Employees, 2 million. And then as you can see with the new amount, the employer is now 7.0.
Antonia, I don't know if I'm reading something wrong, or if there was a mistake on the silver plan employee and children. That actually went up $8.
It did. You're not reading it incorrectly. It did go up.
Why is that the only one that increased?
Based on when we put the percentages, so it's based on the percentages, right? When you put the percentage, and to balance out the funds with, as it relates to not just the healthcare, but making sure we're staying balanced with what we have available for raises that was presented. That is the modeling tool.
So it wasn't an error,
It was not an error.
So I believe there's 267 unit numbers on Gold Family. So for those 267 employees on the Gold Family, the premium would be, the annual impact to the premium would be $1,087. And every example on this sheet covers that 1,087.
We had also proposed the FSA card, or are you rejecting
Yeah.
this FSA card?
Again, that's a $6.9 million cost.
All right. So I absolutely appreciate the movement here. I think this is in the spirit of negotiations, this was good movement. I'm not saying I agree or anything beyond that, except I do appreciate that you guys are continuing to look at this. I think well before our next session, what we would really like to see are the most updated numbers the health insurance trust fund balance, as well as projections reflecting COVID costs. Other than that, is there anyone on my team with questions about their proposal? Any questions about their salary proposal? Does my team, do you think we need to caucus or come back July 11th?
Probably come back July 11th, I mean, we can talk about it, but it's,
I mean, we could caucus
Yeah,
for
we could
5 minutes
caucus.
and then let them know.
All right, so we're just gonna chat for a second. I just wanna make sure, I'm gonna caucus for, 5 minutes, make sure we don't wanna make an offer right now. And we'll come back July 11th.
So you're sending us out and we're saying goodbye?
Yes.
You're not gonna call me in 5 minutes?
This,
I heard you say we're gonna chat for a minute.
the team's gonna chat. We're gonna caucus for 5 minutes. Don't go far.
Okay,
How about that?
okay.